Hey there, sewers and makers. Welcome back to Sew What, a podcast where I hold your hands through your beginner sewing journey. Today we're zooming in on something tiny but mighty, the sewing machine needle. So you might think it's just a needle, right? But trust me, understanding the different parts of this small tool and what each does is a game changer for getting the perfect stitches. And it avoids you skipping stitches and generally having a much smoother sewing experience. So your sewing machine needle is the unsung hero of your sewing machine. Whether you're a seasoned sewist or just starting, grab a fresh cup of whatever it is you're drinking, and let's discuss the incredible anatomy of your sewing machine needle. Your sewing machine needle has 6 basic parts, and today I'll be walking you through each part and what it does. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty parts, let's quickly touch on why the needle is so important. You see, your sewing machine is the precision instrument that carries the top thread through your fabric. It creates a loop for the bobbin needle to catch and forms the perfect stitch. The right needle for the right fabric and thread is crucial for a smooth sewing process. And using the wrong one, it can lead to broken threads, fabric damage, skipped stitches, and a whole lot of frustration. So think of it like cooking. You wouldn't use a butter knife to chop your vegetables, right? So similarly, you need the right tool for the job when sewing. Now, let's discuss the 6 parts of a sewing machine needle and their purpose. So let's do a little hands-on show and tell. If you have a sewing machine needle handy, grab it and follow along, and we'll start from the top. Now the top is called a shank, and this is the thick cylindrical part of at the very top of your needle. It's the part that you insert into your sewing machine's needle clamp, and the clamp holds the needle securely in place in your machine. Now you'll notice that most domestic sewing machine needles have a flat side on the shank, and that flat side always faces the back of your sewing machine. It ensures the needle is correctly oriented for the bobbin hook to pick up the loop. Pro tip, always make sure your needle is inserted all the way up into the clamp before tightening the screw. A loose or incorrectly inserted needle can cause major problems. Part number 2, we talk about the shaft, also known as the body. This is the long, slender body of the needle extending down the shank to the point. Now, the shaft determines the overall length and diameter or size of the needle. The size of the shaft and thus the needle will vary depending on the fabric you're sewing. Thicker fabrics need larger diameter needles, and delicate fabrics need smaller diameter needles. Next is the groove. The groove runs down the front of the needle shaft, and you'll see a long, shallow indentation, and that's the long groove. The groove acts as a channel for your upper thread, so as your needle comes up and down, the long groove protects the thread from friction and abrasion, ensuring it glides smoothly through the fabric without fraying or breaking. Now, number 4 is the scarf. The scarf, also known as the short groove or cutout. When you flip your needle to the back, you look just above the eye and you'll see a small indentation or cutout. This is called the scarf. What does it do? The scarf is incredibly important because it creates a tiny space for the bobbin hook to pass through and grab the loop of the upper thread. Without the scarf, the bobbin hook wouldn't be able to catch the thread, leading to skipped stitches. Different needle types like ballpoint or stretch needles have different scarf designs to accommodate varying fabric types. Now let's talk about the eye of the needle. This is the hole, and it's a small hole at the very bottom of the needle, just above the point. The eye is where the upper thread passes through, and the size and shape of the eye can vary. A larger eyes are greater for thicker threads, and while smaller eyes are for finer threads. If your thread keeps breaking, check if the eye is too small for your thread thickness. And finally, the point, also known as the tip. This is the business end of the needle, and this is the part that penetrates the fabric. The point is crucial for how the needle interacts with your fabric. There are many different types of points. You have the sharper universal point, and this is the most common type for woven fabrics like cotton and linens. It pierces through the fabric fibers. And you also have a ballpoint jersey point, which has a slightly rounded tip that pushes between the fabric fibers instead of piercing them. Ideal for knits fabrics like jerseys, fleece, and interlock, preventing holes and runs. Then you have the stretch point, which is similar to the ballpoint, but with a more pronounced rounded tip and a deeper scarf design, specifically for highly elastic fabrics like spandex and lycra. Jeans and denim point is also a very important strong point designed to penetrate the densely woven fabrics like denim and canvas without breaking or deflecting. Lever point, which is also a chisel point, it has a wedge-shaped tip that cuts a small hole in the leather rather than piercing to prevent tearing. A pro tip, a dull or bent needle point can snag your fabric and cause skip stitches or even damage your machine altogether. So always replace your needle regularly. The pro tip is 8 hours of sewing for every major project. So if you hear a popping sound or notice any issues with your stitches, change your needle. Now, let's bring it all together. How a stitch is formed. Now that you know the different parts of a needle, let's quickly visualize how they work together to form a stitch. The shank holds the needle firmly. The point pierces the fabric, carrying the upper thread through the eye. And as the needle starts to rise, the scarf creates a loop of the upper thread on the underside of the fabric. The bobbin hooks in your machine's swing as it swings by and catches the loop through the scarf space. The upper thread continues to rise through the long groove and bringing in the bobbin thread up through the fabric. The two threads interlock, forming a perfect stitch. It's a beautiful synchronized dance, all thanks to those perfectly designed needle parts. So, there you have it, the intriguing anatomy of a sewing machine needle. I hope this deep dive helped you understand why choosing the right needle in good shape is very important for your sewing success. Do you have a go-to needle type that you swear by, or maybe a needle-related sewing mishap you've learned from? Please share your thoughts and questions in the comments. I love to read them. My personal favorite is the 75 by 11. And if you found this episode helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss your next sewing adventure. Happy stitching, everyone. Catch you in the next episode.